We made it. We made it. Yes, we made it. Thank you, everybody, for being patient.
Yes.
It's so worth it, though. This is going to be an incredible conversation. Wow. Still have technical gremlins. They're still alive and well and testing to see how we make it through all this. So that's just how important this conversation is going to be, and I'm glad we made it. Glad you're here. So let me introduce this amazing woman, and we'll get right into the conversation. This is Elvira Hopper, and she helps clients and her audience get out of their own effing way. We'll talk more about that later, so they can finally be truly themselves and create a life of their dreams and go on to create a life of miracles. She has serendipitously left behind 2 rock star health care and pharmaceutical careers spanning 27 years. After her blessed breakdown, I love that, depression, anxiety, panic disorder, and suicidal ideation, she was divinely gifted with the Love Your Vibe miracle mindset that took her out of her darkness quickly and naturally. No therapy, no drugs. So this is going to be a good conversation. It has sparked a global movement, which will be launched online this month, and she is now lives her dream and passion, including entertainment and jewelry design, which is a whole other conversation. As a miracle mindset coach, inspirational artist and speaker, visionary and mystic, she inspires her audience by channeling all her talks and performances, a simple channel for spirit to use, which is, I'm excited to talk about that. She hosts international retreats to facilitate amazing transformation in beautiful places around the globe. She lives to see her clients get out of their own effing way, love that, and create miracles of their heart and soul's deepest desires. And if a former, I love this, if a former crap magnet like her could become a miracle magnet, then anyone can. Welcome to the show, Elvira.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It's a miracle that I'm here. So talk about being a miracle mindset coach. I honestly, I don't know how I got through the tech, but somehow I did. The gods and goddesses were on our side. Even though the gremlin's trying to get in there. So
it's like, okay, let's see just how much of a miracle this can be. And we're here. We're here and you showed up and we made it.
We are so here. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I want to go over some of the things that you and I talked about when we just talked last week and just kind of setting up of what the show is going to be about. And you have an incredible story. So what my show is all about is having people share their hero's journey. Basically, you go through this part where you leave what you're normally at, you get this initiation process, and then you come back and then you share it with the world. And you have an amazing hero's journey, and I really would love for you to share that with our followers, if you don't mind.
Oh my God. I feel like crying right now, just the way you described it. It's so true. You know, like you're in this dark place and you don't think you're going to survive, and then you get through it and then you get to share it with others. It just so beautifully said. So my story really started when I was a little girl, and I was essentially always singing, always dancing, always being a ham, right? That was me as a little girl. And that was my happy place, you know, like when I was singing and dancing and people were smiling because what I was doing, I felt good. And I remember going to this show, this cabaret show with my dad. He worked downstairs in this restaurant, and upstairs there was this cabaret show. And I was 11 years old, and I'm Italian, and I ate too much pasta. So I was this chubby little Italian girl, and I was the only kid in the audience. And it was hilarious. Well, it was hilarious. Now it is on the other side. But it was so interesting how I was the only kid in the audience, and I watched these women on stage, and they were singing and they were dancing and they were acting and they were just beautiful. It was a cabaret show, and kids weren't supposed to be there, but I was there very serendipitously. And so anyways, afterwards, I remember like seeing these women on stage and just thinking they were goddesses. And then afterwards, my dad introduced me because I was, you know, the daughter, and they worked upstairs, he worked downstairs. So when they said, "Joe, this is your daughter, she's so beautiful." And I remember thinking, I'm beautiful? Like I'm a fat little Italian kid, like you're beautiful, right? And so what I got in that moment is that these women saw me. They saw me as one of them, just a lot younger, obviously. So I felt like I'd met my tribe, right? And they saw me. And so afterwards, I said to my dad, "Daddy, I want to be one of them when I grow up." And you know what my dad said, Jeff? "You can't be one of them. Those women are sluts." He used an Italian word. And so that was it. I shut down. I wasn't allowed to be an artist. I wasn't allowed to be an entertainer. The irony is my dad was an amazing singer. He was a tenor. His sister was an opera singer. So my dad was trying to keep me small and protected for my safety. We came to Canada when I was 5 from Italy. And so he wanted obviously a better future for his daughter. And so he was only doing what he knew how to do. But as a child, you're hearing this and it's like, okay, who do I have to become in order to get my dad to love me? Right. And who I became was a people pleaser. I became the straight A student. I became I like biology, maybe I'll be a doctor. And as soon as I put that out there, my parents were freaking out. Oh my God, she wants to be a doctor. So I was doing what they wanted me to do. I shut myself down. I wasn't really listening to my heart and soul. Here's the irony. I became a professional jazz singer at the age of 51. And my band is called Heart and Soul. So this is what happens when you get out of your own effing way. Right. But anyways, at that time, I remember, saying, okay, so, I couldn't get into medical school because my marks weren't good enough, but I got into lab technology school. So I became a lab technologist. I worked in a hospital. I looked like a rock star. I was making lots of money. I wore a wet lab coat. To my parents, I was a doctor, right? So they felt like they'd arrived, right? Mm-hmm. But to me, every single day I walked in there, Jeff, into that lab, I thought someone is going to take me out of there because I'm an imposter. I don't know what I'm doing because I was not in alignment with who I truly was. Who I truly was an artist. I was an entertainer. My other happy place was when I was beading as a little girl because I had an unhappy childhood. My parents came to this country. They weren't that happy, right? Okay. And when I beaded, I could shut the world down, So here's the cool thing. I now have an online store that carries my jewelry. And my son just got hired at Shopify as a data scientist, which is really cool. That's another story. But, the thing is, those were my two happy places as a child. I was an artist. I was an entertainer. I was a dancer. And that's where I found my joy. So the way I see it, Jeff, is that if we had gone back in time and my dad said, you want to be one of them when you grew up? Great. Let me put you in acting classes. Let me put you in dancing classes. Let me put you in whatever you need to do what you want to do. Well, yeah, I guess I could have, that could have been the way it worked out, but it wasn't meant to. Because had I done that, I would have not had my struggle and I wouldn't have been who I am today. And maybe I'd be on Broadway and I'd be a big star, or maybe I'd be starving because it's pretty competitive. So my journey was about becoming this people-pleasing, inauthentic imposter so that I could shift later in life. So what happened is I worked as a lab technologist for 7 years. After 7 years, I wanted to slit my wrists. I was so unhappy. I was being bullied by my boss, by my colleagues, because I believe when we live out of alignment with our truth, Jeff, that we can easily be taken out of the game. I liken it to being like a freshly planted sapling. When you're living out of alignment, any wind can blow away a freshly planted sapling, right? So the bullies, they got to me because they know they could, right? And so, but when you're living in your truth zone, when you are living as your authentic true self, you're like an oak. Nobody can take you out of the ground, right? So I had to discover that later. So then again, 7 years after that, like I said, wanted to slit my wrist. I got plucked out of that to do pharmaceutical sales, So that was good for a little while because, it was better than working in a lab. Like I was by myself and I was told to shut up and just do my work. Now, at least I'm with people and I'm connecting heart to heart, right? But at the same time, I was never that scientific academic lab person or pharmaceutical rep that knew their science really well and could do the job. So again, I felt like an imposter, So can you imagine 20 years of that, 7 years as a lab tech, 20 years as a pharmaceutical rep. So 2 inauthentic careers. At the end of that, luckily I had my blessed breakdown. My last 2 years, I had found that my friend left the industry to become a coach. And then right away I said, oh my God, she's living my life. I want to be like her. And then virtually right away, my boss gets let go and it turns into a competition for his job. And the mean boy, the alpha male in the company, who was actually a dear friend, he decides he wants the job. So there was a misunderstanding. And instead of trying to fix the misunderstanding, he decides to take me out of the game. And so I started getting bullied corporately. And then because I had a sign, a neon sign that said, "Kick me" on my back, I had a female, I used to be a professional cheerleader back in the 80s. So I cheered for our Toronto team here. So I had the female, the sort of lead girl in this group decide that, she saw the sign that said "Kick me." And guess what? She decided to kick me too. So I'm being kicked in two different areas of my life. But Jeff, how many fingers do I have pointing back at me? 6. If this is happening in two different areas, I'm showing up as a victim, and therefore they're kicking me. And when I got that, I said, okay, give me a way out of this hell, or give me a way of killing myself. Because I didn't want to live with depression, anxiety, and panic disorder, being bullied two different areas of my life for 2 years. So I all of a sudden started getting the downloads of the Love Your Vibe Miracle Mindset, which was to be my gift to the world. And it's become a movement. And soon I'm launching the Love Your Vibe Transformation online, so that other people that want to take back their power and want to live the life of their dreams and connect to their true purpose, they can do it through this system, because it helped me. It wasn't just for me. It was part of my hero's journey to give back, right? So I love how you put it. And so that's kind of my story. And I'm sure I'm missing different pieces, but that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, because so you're,
yeah.
Well, and about where you're at now, okay? You're this miracle mindset coach, and you channel stuff, and here, now you're living in your truth. And, the conversation you and I had about the power of living in our truth, the vibration, and how we are. Yeah. I liked how you said it, where you felt like you were being bullied, you were a victim because you were not in your truth and you were not able to stand up for who you were. And it's so I would really like for you to talk about that a little bit more, of just what you felt like inside, not to focus on that, but there's a lot of people out there that are asleep. And when I say asleep, they are trying to convince themselves to stay stuck in this story that they have invested in because it's all they know. Yes. Or the other part of that too is you said something pretty profound, is wanting the approval of your father. Now, this isn't about parenting or anything like that. All parents are doing the best they can with what they have, right? Exactly. But it's exactly how much validity we give to that story of being accepted and living our lives unconsciously for somebody else. And, yes. And just you getting to that point, I'd just really like to hear how that went for you, the last part of you being a pharmaceutical rep and just really seeing how this was basically against who you were designed to be and who you are today. I talk about that a little bit more, and then just kind of what happened, and then boom, took you to be the person you are today.
Yeah. Well, it got to the point, Jeff, that this is why I call it my blessed breakdown. I was so unhappy living like an imposter and being bullied as a result, because I was so out of alignment. My boss got let go. He was my mentor. He was the guy that hired me. Like, I left a 6-figure job. This is the guy that paid me the most of every rep in the company. And that was gone. So the way I see it is, it was my destiny to cross over from imposter, pretender, whatever, to living my truth, because I was meant to simply be a guide to help other people do it. And I had to be at a very low to give credibility to others that they're there, but they can cross over to the other side, right? So I lived in a 3D world. Now I'm in a 4 and a 5D world, because, I know you get it. And it's all about, living in your truth zone, and so I feel that my story was perfect. Everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to. Though I lost actually 2 years of, I shouldn't say lost, I experienced 2 years of my life in depression, anxiety, panic disorder, and suicidal ideation. But Jeff, I would go through every moment of that pain over again in order to be who I am today, the person that's transformed. I was an A, I'm now a B. And it was through the darkness that I had to find my light so that I could lead others. So you and I were light workers. We simply help people to find their light. And we have to have gone to the dark times. I know your story is one of, you had this story that you had bipolar. Well, when you told yourself a different story, you were able to cross over and you help people with their mindset and beliefs. And it's the same for me. I help people see that the reason they're being kicked is that they had a sign that said kick me, because that's how they saw themselves. So when they tear that sign off, guess what? They stop being kicked. And so I'm grateful for every moment. And then before that, I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but because it's in my genes, my dad actually got bullied in his 50s when he basically had a nervous breakdown, and he said, and he couldn't do his job anymore. He had to go on meds for the rest of his life. And so when I had my darkness, I said, and I was a pharmaceutical rep, I knew what meds did to our body. I said, I want a way out of this. That's not meds, that's not therapy, or I want a way of killing myself. Right. And clearly I was only meant to go through that to help others, because I didn't kill myself, thank God. And I'd gone through this when I was in my early 20s, when I got dumped by the guy I thought I was going to marry. I went through 2 years of the darkness again. So 4 years of my life I spent in this dark place, which gives me the credibility to help others that are still there. So this is what I love about what I do, is that people see that I was able to transform to my true self, become a jazz singer at the age of 51. I work on world stages. My jewelry is carried online globally, and I get to coach others to live their truth as well. And so I just feel so blessed for every single moment. And, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I guess I just want to wrap it up and say, it was all perfect, Jeff. It all worked out the way it was supposed to, for me to become who I was supposed to become. And I'm fierce and I'm humble, because I know this work isn't about me. Mm-hmm. I just simply get out of my own effing way. What does effing stand for? Fear and ego. I do not live in ego anymore. I was a crap magnet, egomaniacal, crazy person, because I lived 3D. It was all about me. It was all about competition. It was all about, I need to be better than them, so I get the trip for the pharmaceutical, contest, who's the best rep. That was my old life. But now I live in this zone where it's all about, we are all connected. We're all here to live our purpose. And as Oprah says it, my favorite mentor, our purpose is to connect with our purpose and to humbly serve the world with it. And I believe that. And our purpose is our why, and our why is the world helped by you. And you said it once when I saw your video, and I say it all the time. If your why doesn't make you cry, find another why. Right. So I really believe that Love Your Vibe is my why. I'm helping people to evolve to their higher true self. And if I think about a world, Jeff, where everybody is loving their vibe and living in their truth zone and living in their higher vibe self, I want to cry, because it's like, that is heaven to me. It's heaven on earth. And I will die on my deathbed talking about Love Your Vibe. That's how I know it's my why. And I believe when we connect with our why, then we can leave behind what I call your unique legacy. How will the world remember you, Jeff, when you're gone one day? Mm-hmm. That's your unique legacy. Mine will be Love Your Vibe, and yours will be, your system, right? And so, how great that we have had this hero's journey to connect to our bigger purpose, our why, leave behind our unique legacy. Like, I can't think of any other way to live, because when it's dark, they say he or she who knows their why can withstand anyhow. And I help people connect to their why so that they can get through anything, because you're here for a bigger reason. You can't play small. You got to get out of your own effing way, right? So yeah, I am so passionate about that. So I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, no, it's good. And so I want to ask you, because when I left jewelry, and I did jewelry, I was a master jeweler, designer. Yeah, I was doing jewelry for over 25 years. I had my own jewelry business, all that. And very successful career, basically did what I wanted to do. And I just felt there was something inside. In fact, I remember the day, this is in my North Dakota days. I'm driving down this long straight road, and I remember the thought of, I'm going to be a jeweler the rest of my life. And there was this peace that came over me of just like, I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And that's cool, because most people don't have that. Well, about a decade later, I really started looking at this and just going, this isn't fulfilling me anymore. I'm just not passionate about it like I used to be. And I really started asking myself some questions of just going, this isn't aligned with who I am anymore. And there was a part where I sold everything. I pushed it all out of my life and just went, I'm done with it. I'm just done. But now it's coming back around a little bit and wanting to design jewelry and stuff. I find it totally serendipitous that you and I have connected this way, because I didn't know that you did jewelry. But what I wanted to ask you is, so this time that you're going through this darkness in the 2 years, because I think it's important for people to really, to me, it's all about awareness. I mean, of having the awareness of asking ourselves, there's something wrong here. I mean, it's just not normal for me not to want to be fired up and go to work, and really calling a thing and just go, so you're talking about being bullied by a boss. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What does that look like? What does it mean to be bullied by a boss? Because obviously I'm not a female, so I don't know. And I'm not saying that chauvinistically, but what did that look like? And when did you start going, there's something off here?
Right. Okay. So let me go back to my first career as a lab tech, where I got to be, the fancy lab coat wearing, healthcare professional.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel like an imposter in your heart and soul, you are easily knocked out of your center. No matter, you're so sensitive because you're not really doing your thing.
Right.
And so anybody can say the slightest thing wrong, and you bristle or you get upset or whatever, and that's a sign there's something wrong. Because if somebody says something to me now, like, you're not good at what you do, I just kind of laugh it off, because I know that I'm good at what I do, right? But back then, anybody could tell me that I'm doing it wrong, and I would believe them, because in my heart, I was an imposter, right? I was putting on the facade that, I don't know how I got through school, to be honest with you, and got my, my certification, but I did. It was a miracle. But it was truly, in answer to your question, I was like a freshly planted sapling, and she could see the sign that said, kick me on my back, because it basically said, I'm an imposter. And everybody could read that sign, so they could easily kick me, right? It says, I'm an imposter, kick me. So we need to get aware. If we're not feeling good, if we're getting too sensitive about what people are saying, and inside we're like, holy crap, somebody's going to find out that I don't know what I'm doing, chances are you're not in the right thing. Right. That's how I can see it now, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you'd mentioned that, so when you were in, I think it was towards the end of your being a technician, that you were feeling depression, you were feeling all these things, and you said that I don't want to take medication because I know what it does to me. Okay. And then you go into being a pharmaceutical rep, selling pharmaceuticals. And for me, again, I've never shared this publicly. Okay. So this is going to be a good conversation. I had seen women do some things with jewelry that just absolutely appalled me. I mean, it was like, that jewelry is more important than my kids. When I seen some stuff up in North, and I did more retail jewelry. I mean, I went to school for fine arts and all that stuff, but it just was like, this is not who I want to be anymore. I don't want to be a part and support this industry. And then you got blood diamonds and all the things that came around that whole topic. And so you're going through, and then you go into being pharmaceutical sales. Because this is, for me, I see this with my clients so much, with everybody, is the more we invest into something, the more it affects our ability to use discernment in looking at our reality, right? It's just like, I've invested all this education, all this money, all this time into this career. It's like, I should just make myself feel grateful. And I should be happy that I have this, because I have something more that most people don't have. And I did. I had a great career in jewelry. But, so if you could walk through some of that, because you did pharmaceutical rep for, what'd you say, like 17 years or something like that?
20 years.
20 years. Pharmaceutical.
Yeah. And what my husband called it? My husband called it La La Land. He thought it was the best job in the world. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm living in La La Land. He's telling me it's great. I guess I should feel grateful, like you said, right? So you'd feel bad that you're not feeling good enough to love this job. But every day I thought, someone's going to come in and take me out, because they know that I'm not an academic. They know that I don't really know my science through and through. I was good with people. That's why I was an award-winning rep. That's why they paid me 6 figures, because I could talk to people. But I was afraid of the questions I would get. And, and it was just not a good way to live, because you're, like, yes, I had the heart, but I didn't have really the mind to be this, whiz in pharmaceutical sales. So yeah, it was, I don't know if I answered a little bit of your question there. Yeah.
Well, and the other part is too, is because we've got archetypes, and one of the archetypes is an imposter. There's the archetype of the warrior. There's an archetype of the prostitute. There's lots of different archetypes that we have out there. Right. And within that, and I like how Carolyn Miss explains it. It's like a template of that we put the content inside of it. And like you were saying, being a victim, what that's like. And I've had different times in my life where I have felt like a victim or an imposter and things like that. But it's also being able to, I listened to this is what I started for myself, what I started paying attention to when it came to jewelry, okay? Is I started going, what is it that feeds me and what is it that drains me? And I really started looking at that stuff. Then I go to a Tony Robbins event and I'm like, are you kidding me? The answer's been here all along, and I recognize that I had been coaching people for decades because of my experience in recovery and substance abuse and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was just like this whole epiphany breakthrough of just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And now, starting to ask the questions for me because my journey with creativity has been a long, painful one. And there was a point in my life where I went, I didn't want to be called an artist because of the paradigm of what an artist or the perception of what an artist is. So then I went to architecture school. I did all these things so that I didn't have to confront my own identity or my own perception of what that really meant. Of course, I didn't know I was doing that back then. And so I think it's important for like you, because you invested a lot of time and a lot of, and you're, so how, I'm just curious, where did the light bulb start going off and going, you know what, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. So what did that look like for you?
So again, I go back to the blessed breakdown when my boss gets let go and I competed for his job with a male colleague, the alpha male. And he was actually a very good friend of mine. Like, he was my work spouse. But when there was a misunderstanding and he felt like I was dissing him and I thought he was dissing me, we couldn't communicate. It got ugly. And then he took me down, and that was it. My reputation it went from here, the highest paid, most valued rep, to a piece of garbage. And so living as a piece of garbage for 2 years was my blessed breakdown. It was a sign from the universe. You don't belong here anymore. You need to get out. And it wasn't comfortable, but it was what I needed. It was the kick in the butt that I would have never gotten out. Had I been comfortable, guess where I'd still be working, Jeff?
Right.
Back there.
It's supposed to be comfortable.
No.
Right.
So here's the thing, though. But I had seen my friend leave the industry to become a coach. And then my boss got let go the next week. So it was almost like I put it out there and said, I'm going to do what she did. Mm-hmm. And then the universe says, yes, you finally connected to your thing. I'm going to bring it to you. And you're not going to be comfortable, but you're going to get it. So it was like my boss got let go the next week. And then virtually right away, I started getting bullied. And so I went into a dark place. So it was a blessed breakdown because it got me out of it. And I learned the Love Your Vibe Miracle Mindset that is now saving other lives too, and helping other people connect to their truth and their best life. So yeah, what a blessing, right?
Right. And I think comfort is far overrated. And people that know me, people that have heard my talk, is because if we are being comfortable, we're not growing. We are actually becoming apathetic and we're not evolving. And then we start justifying our crap, and before we know it, we're like, how did I get here? It's because you just wanted to be comfortable. And it's amazing.
Gold. That's gold, what you said.
So let's talk about now this paradigm shift within your life. Okay, you have this aha moment. You see a colleague saying, "Going out and coach." You start coaching. What was that like? And then, so how long was that? A couple years ago, you said?
So I've been a coach for 8 years now. And
nice.
yeah, so I had my breakdown about 10 years ago, went through 2 years of that. And then when I shifted out of that, when I got my power back, oh, that was the other cool thing. Those two people that bullied me, they started liking me after that, because when I tore the sign that said "kick me off my back," they stopped kicking me too. So that's another cool thing. Like, for anyone that feels like a victim, I want to say, stop kicking yourself, tear the sign off that says "kick me," and those bullies will stop kicking you. And this movement has the book that I'm writing right now, it's being edited, is called Change Your Vibe, Change Your Life. Mm-hmm. And it's being sort of, first of all, it's dedicated to those two people, because they were my angels of evolution. They forced me out of an inauthentic life to evolve. And the things that I learned in that process, guess what? I'm going to be teaching them to youth in high school, because they don't have enough tools to help them with bullying and self-esteem issues. So I know that I went through that so that I could report back to them and give them the tools, right? So I'm super, super grateful. And I know I've taken this a little bit off the mark where you wanted to go with it. But what was the original question, Jeff? Sorry.
But on that note, you said something that I think is really important, because one of the things that I work with my clients is this whole process of levels of development, of really being able to figure out and it's not levels hierarchically, it's levels hierarchically, of really being able to determine where you're at and what needs to be let go in order for you to go to the next level, and what needs to be embraced in order for you to expand your consciousness and things like that. And the way that things evolve usually is it starts over here, and then it swings clear to the other pendulum, and then they swing it back over here. And I think that there's some things that are happening right now in public schools that are catastrophic. And I get why it's come to be, because bullying is a big issue. There's no doubt about it. I'm not being naive about that. But I think taking competition away is catastrophic, because now, and we can talk about it, you can agree or disagree, that's fine, because I think learning competition in a healthy environment is a great thing, where people learn to get along, learn to cheer for each other, and learn how to push and make each other better. And that's when I'm being competitive with somebody, I hope them to do the best. I hope them to give everything they got, because it's going to make me give everything that I got. And if I don't come out on top, hey, that's great job. I'm going to go back. I'm going to grind. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to come back in. But taking that away, I think, is catastrophic, because it's not teaching the kids how to, and there's a reason that they don't teach how to deal with your emotions in life or in school, because it allows you to be programmed and step into things that kids don't know how to deal with their emotions. They don't know how to deal with it. So then they act out and grab guns and people die. And it's, so I think what you're doing is incredible. And I think that that's where the conversation was supposed to go. But I would love your thoughts on, what do you think about taking competition out of schools? And I don't know if it is up in Canada, but I know here, of just trying to make life softer and more convenient. And let's drug them, and it's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, you can tell I get pretty passionate about that. It's
competition. I never thought of it that way. I'm sort of processing as you're talking, Jeff. Like, that good competition is a good thing, because if you're trying to be the best you can in your area, I believe it's more important to connect to your purpose, your bigger reason for being here. And kids might not figure it out for a while. So their purpose is simply to stay in their high vibration zone, do the things that feel good, don't do things that feel bad, like Abraham Hicks, right? It's all about feeling good. And it's all about, really being your happy self, your joyful self, connected to other people. And yeah, good competition is good. Like if you're out in a field playing football or whatever, like if somebody plays better than you, they're going to inspire you to play better. Again, the friendliness has to be there. It can't be a low vibration competition. It has to be a high vibration. If I see a coach doing great things, I'm inspired to do better myself. But I don't want to take away from that coach, because I think that coach is connected to their thing. And hopefully, if we're all evolved, they're going to cheer me on if they see me doing well, because if you win, I win, right? Like we're all connected, right? That's 5D. That's 5D. And so not a lot of people get that, but hopefully we're helping people evolve to that place. So yeah, competition is a good thing. And I want to return to the Love Your Vibe Miracle Mindset is about kids realizing that if they take the kick me sign off their back, they're not going to be bullied. Right. So it's up to them to vibrationally see themselves as a person that deserves to be treated well. And if they believe that in their core, nobody's going to bully them. So every system out there is about don't bully, don't bully, don't bully. Be nice, be nice, be nice. Love Your Vibe is about don't show up as a victim and you're not going to be bullied. So it's about giving back the power to the kids, right? So it's about seeing your innate value as a human being and seeing that you're not brought here by accident. Every single person is here for a bigger purpose. Right. And once again, as Oprah says, our purpose is to connect with our purpose and humbly serve the world, because it's not about you. You got to take your ego out of it. You got to serve humbly. And each person on the planet's job is simply to stay in their zone and feel good. And eventually their purpose is gifted to them. When they realize that they are divine and they've cleared away all the crap that's not them, they become this channel that spirit uses for a bigger purpose. That's what my thing is about. I was able to do it, and I was a crap magnet that got to this place. So I know that I was simply the messenger, right? Because if it worked for me with depression, anxiety, panic disorder, and my genetics, it can work for anybody, right? And my dad, my poor dad, he died, medicated, and God rest his soul in heaven. He didn't know any other way, but I was gifted with this other way. And see, my dad suffered. Think about it. My dad suffered because he was an artist, but was never allowed to be an artist. Just like his sister, she was an opera singer, but she got married and she wasn't allowed to sing anymore. So he never got a chance to express himself. So we need to express ourselves fully. This is what I believe. And I help people to do that as a coach. Is I help them connect to their higher creative person. Some people have trouble with that word artist, just like you did, because they think starving artist, right? But really, an artist is someone that gets to co-create with spirit, and it's beautiful. And you get out of your own way, and spirit uses you. So, for example, when I was a singer, I've sung my whole life. My mother said you came out of the womb singing, but when I sang for many years, it was always from a space of ego. It was always from a space of I'm not good enough. I need more lessons. Who am I to get on a stage? Who's going to want to hear me? When I got rid of that stinking thinking and I went to a place of, you love this. You can't not do this. And get into a space where you're just serving with your voice and humbly serve with your voice. That's when I became professional. That's when I started getting paid really well to sing. I'm singing with world-class artists now. And I'm performing with world-class artists. And I'm being produced by world-class producers right now. So, people pick up that vibration that you're doing this humbly and fiercely, and it's not about you. It's about you serving with your voice. So I think if every artist could see that it's not about them, but about their bigger purpose that they get to serve, it's going to be a beautiful world for all artists. This is what I believe. So does that make sense?
Absolutely. It makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Think about what ancient texts have talked about dying to self. Are you getting an echo?
Yeah, I'm hearing a bit of an echo. Yeah, sorry. Can you repeat that?
Let me see if that helps. So a lot of the ancient text says die to self, okay? And for me, as I've evolved, that's what that means is the self, the small s self is the ego. And anytime we have fear, who are we thinking of? We're thinking of ourselves. Now I'm here to tell you, I still have my days. I have not perfected, nor will I probably ever perfect not having fear. But it's understanding, I know I am thinking from a place of I have to protect myself.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very low vibration. And then when you're in that lower vibration, you are impressionable and suggestible to all the other lower crap that comes in at us. And then we start feeling heavy, and then we start wearing out because we're carrying all this heavy crap instead of just letting it go and stepping into what we're truly designed to be. And and I see, and I just love your energy. I just love, you can see that you are aligned, and it's the truth. I mean, there's so many things out there that not only physically, but I mean, muscle testing, kinesiology, it's muscle testing of what is truth, tapped into universal, whatever, however you want to define that. Oops, sorry about that. Whatever you want to define that as is being able to, it comes through you. And it's more powerful being able to do that than trying to convince yourself of being somebody that you're not. And I've seen huge network marketers that I've coached that were not aligned with the product that they were selling. Guess what? They ended up in a hospital.
Oh,
I mean, they were trying to convince themselves to be somebody that they weren't supposed to be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what, Jeff? We talked about this last week, I think, but the studies are showing, they're doing studies right now that prove that cancer is a soul illness. It's a soul disease. When you're not living in alignment with your truth, you can develop cancer. For me, it manifested as mental illness, but for others, it manifests as cancer or other illnesses, right? Basically, dis-ease. You're not at ease. You're not living your truth. So you get dis-ease. Hello? Wake up, guys. If you're not feeling well, something's out of alignment. Do something to connect to your bigger purpose. This is why I love what you and I do. We help people to stay in their purpose, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's just like I love Carolyn Miss. I don't know if you've listened to her or not, but she wrote advanced anatomy of energy. And she talks about when you have that calling inside of you and you feel it, and I mean, think of the word inspiration. It means God breathed or breathed from a higher source. That's what inspiration means. And we don't listen to it. And we don't listen to it, and we don't listen to it. And pretty soon it's going to be like, all right, let's just wipe you out so you're crashed and burned, and then you have nothing else but to go, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I mean, and just like you, I mean, I've had catastrophic failures and just, crap magnet blow up, nuke bombs in my life, if you want to call that, where I just sat there and just going, how did I get here? How did I get here? And just really starting to look at, and as I call them desert experiences. There's been many times in my life where I have had to leave my tribe and go out in the desert. When I got off bipolar meds, I didn't tell anybody that I was doing it. I mean, there were a few people that I knew were doing that, that were helping me go through it. I didn't tell anybody that I was going to do it because one of the side effects of being on bipolar meds is you want to get off the medication.
Right.
What if, I mean, it's just like, whoa, the more I thought about it. And so I went out into the desert all by myself. Do not recommend anybody doing it that way. I mean, but I had done recovery stuff long enough that I knew that I trusted myself that I'm going to go through whatever I need to go through to get off this stuff. But I remember when I was being introduced, the conversation you and I had, where they were saying, this is what it looks like to be on bipolar meds. And I remember talking to my psychiatrist and I said, I just lose thoughts. I will be in the middle of a conversation and the next word that's going to come out of my mouth just disappears. Well, that's side effects of the medication. What? I mean, just boom, it just goes away. So when they were talking about that as saying our clients do this and it creates black spots in your neurology makeup, blah, 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 I knew in that moment that my life was radically going to change. And rather than running from it out the back door, I went, I'm pressing into this and I'm going to do it. I'm going to hit it face on. And yeah, it took months to get that stuff out of my system. And it's still people come up to me like, man, you're just a completely different person now. And I had no idea how desensitized I had become. But for me, it was about putting things in context. So I look at where I was at when I was put on it. I had just come out of divorce. I was not in a great place. And I think so many people get put on things without looking at their lives.
Yes. Yes.
Like what you're talking about, being out of alignment. It's just like, well, what do you enjoy doing? Wow. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good place to start. What do you enjoy doing? What did you want to be when you were a kid? You know, and listening to you talk about, you know, that there's no mistake that you started out watching that performance and your dad asking you and you saying, that's where I wanted to be. And here you are 40 some years later doing it.
Doing it, yeah. And you know what? I bet you he's smiling, you know, even though he didn't want me to do it because he wanted me to be safe. You know, he wanted me to have a good job. Like artists, you know, like who knows where I would have gone, right? But, you know, but it was meant to go that route. It was meant for me to have my art later in life, to show people that it's never too late to live the life of your dreams. It's never too late. So Carolyn Miss, I believe, said this when I went to hear her speak. She said, when you connect to your thing, that thing that you're meant to do, you will leapfrog over the competition that has had more education and more experience than you because it's your thing. So when I realized, oh my God, like this is my thing. I'm meant to be, you know, a musician. I'm meant to sing my own way of jazz. You know, I'm meant to do it this way. And I'm gonna play a big game. I'm not gonna play small anymore. I'm not gonna play you're not good enough. I'm gonna realize that Spirit is using me and wouldn't have given me this desire in my heart and soul had I not been the person that had to become that, you know. Sorry, let me restate that. If I hadn't been given that desire, okay, here's what I understand. Sorry, let me restate that again. Each one of us is given desires for us to become the people in order to achieve those desires. Right. So it becomes our job to get out of our own effing way to achieve those desires. So I had those desires as a little girl. I still had them. I covered them because I pretended that they weren't there because I was living this glamour rock star life on the outside and inside I was dying. But when I got really, really honest with myself, those desires were still there. So I had growth going from this place of you're not good enough to you just need to own this. You need to effing own this. And that when I did that, and I really did it from a humble space of you're here to serve with your voice. And my voice is here to do bigger things. And we won't talk about that right now, but I was told that my voice is here to help people heal. And that's going to become an element of my online program, the Love Your Vibe Transformation. It's going to be launched very soon. You know, I had to get out of my way so that I could use my voice to help people heal. It's not about me. Look at me. I'm all that in a bag of chips. It's look at me doing my thing. I hope you can do your thing too. So it's a mindset shift, right? And so I was meant to have it later in life so that I could show others it's never too late to cross over and live your dream. And, you know, it doesn't matter how famous you get or whatever, as long as you're doing what you love, it's pretty amazing that you will get paid for it. Like I get paid really well as a jazz singer and people ask me to be on their albums and I'm doing some really cool stuff right now with my voice. And I've only been doing it 5 years professionally, right? I just turned 56 on Friday. So truly, if I could, anybody could, right? And that's what I love about what I do is I help artists to really connect to their art even later in life. Because when you connect to something you love, you get lost in time. You are in your zone. And I see women and men that even get into art, you know, like fine art, like in their 60s and 70s. And I love seeing that because they're in their zone and you see them and they have this like youthness on their face, right? Like I think that's the other cool thing. I looked older when I was 30 than I do today at 56. Because back then I was living out of alignment. I was living in a man's world and it showed on my face. I think I had harsher lines. I looked more square. I had like this furrowed brow. And today I just live with lightness because it's just, I live in my joy zone. I don't work a day in my life. Everything I do is pure joy. The things about my business as an entrepreneur that I don't want to do, I have an amazing dream team that supports me. A big shout out to my dream team. And so I get to live my dreams, right? And so I think we can all create the life of our dreams if we get out of our effing way, right? So do you agree with that, Jeff?
Absolutely, 100%. And see, that's what a lot of people, and I would like to talk about, you've mentioned the word humble a number of times. And I think one of the things that a lot of people, they they take some things literally, or they don't look beyond the meaning they assign to something. And nothing has any meaning but the meaning we give it, right? But for me, and this is one of the things that I love, the word meek. I love that word, because to me, there's not much difference between meek and humble.
Yeah.
When you ask somebody, what does meek mean? They think timid, they think less than, they think all that. And that's not what meek means at all. Meek means power under self-control.
Ooh, I like that.
There's a big difference between power and force. Force is an ego. It's all about push. It's all about where power is letting the small self step into the capital self. And it comes through you. You see it. Just watching you just light up. And that's what letting go of. I was watching this comedian, and part of her journey is talking about her being on antidepressants. And it's like, but look at your life. Yeah, you're a great comedian and you love doing that. And that's all great. You can tell that you love doing that, but you hate being away from home. So now you have to medicate this pain from being away from home so that you can do this. And it's like, well, why can't you somehow figure out what it is that everything can fit where it's supposed to fit? And that's what, with my clients, what I do is I get them, there's 6 areas you have values. You have career, family, relationship, physical, spiritual, and personal development. So those are the 6 areas. And then I find out what are the values in each of those areas. Because again, this is why I got so excited. I'm going to be able to articulate this now. This is why I got so excited about having you come on the show, is because you are a excellent representation of how costly it is when you're not aligned with where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
And people they want to convince themselves to stay in, as you said, the crap, right? Being that crap magnet, stay there and justify it because they're worried about what everybody else is going to think about them. And they're not even thinking about, who is it that has to live with me every waking moment of every day? Me. Hello. I'm the one that has to answer to me, right?
Yeah.
But yet, isn't that being, I get it. It's conditioning, it's programming, it's all the stuff that we've been hammered with that, don't think for yourself. Well, I'm the one that's got to take care of me. So why wouldn't I want to think of myself? Why wouldn't I step into what I truly am designed to do and what I truly long to do? And it's okay to work for a job if that's what you feel you're called to do. It doesn't mean that you got to, sell everything and go out and it doesn't mean that. It's just you getting in touch with what's really true to you and what I do. And that's why I loved how you started out. What did you want to be as a child? What did you want to be as a child? Yeah. That's a great place to start, of just really looking at that. And for me, I've looked at what I wanted to be a child, and that's what I'm doing today. What did you want to
be as a child?
I wanted to be an astronaut, and I wanted to be, I wanted to write the sketches for like forensic, when they're doing research for. So I am a creator. That's I haven't drawn in a long time, but maybe someday I will. I want to. The other part is I love space, but what I love about space today is the unknown. It's like the quantum world now is what I am fascinated with. Quantum, superconscious, all that stuff. I'm just fascinated with it. But I asked myself a question of what is the ultimate form of creation? And the answer that came back to me was just like, that's it. To me, the ultimate form of creation is planting a seed in someone's mind that creates a whole other universe.
Wow.
That's what it is. Yeah. But it's been decades of getting crap out of the way. Yeah. Right?
But it was all necessary. It was all necessary. Every single thing. Yeah. Made you the badass, amazing coach that you are today. Yeah.
And people, the big one I have that I get just kind of really freaking animated on, and that is beating yourself up for what it took in that journey to get you where you're at today.
Oh, yeah.
It's and getting people to understand behavior is unconscious. Behavior is unconscious. You don't, and in that moment when you did that, you were in that state, and that's all you could do in that moment. So just like you, it's just like you invested 20 some years of doing something that was out of alignment but it took all of that. I mean, I just see it like a slingshot, pulling you back and just throwing you to a whole other dimension.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's the great analogy. Yeah, exactly. Like, I do not regret a day that I spent as an imposter, or a day of my darkness that I spent for 4 years, because they give me credibility to do what I do today. They honed me into what I am. I'm sensitive, I'm fierce, and I understand what it's like to be there, so that I could lead people out of their inauthenticity to their truth. And and I love who I am. Like, I've connected to self-love. I've gone from self-hate to self-love. Took a long time to get there, It's only happened in the last 8 years as a coach. And I work on it every day still. It's not like I'm finished. I'm growing every day. And I really believe we're trees. If we stop growing, we're dead. So it's constant work, right? But I take my medicine every day. I love my vibe. I choose to stay in my high vibe zone. I could easily go back to my crap magnet zone. If somebody says something mean or horrible, and I don't do the self-love work, and and I don't do my walk my talk, I can easily stay in bed all day and feel sorry for myself. That's in me. But I choose to do the things that I do. It's my medicine. Love your vibe is my medicine, and I have to take it every day. And it's the medicine I need to share with the world too, because they need it too. Right. My tribe does anyway. So yeah. It's
love
so
it,
cool.
love it. This has been a great conversation. So before we wrap up, and just afterward, just stick around a little bit after we close the broadcast, so you and I can wrap up. But so you've got this the Love Your Vibe Miracle Mindset thing that they go through.
Yeah.
I would like for you to leave just a nugget that people can take away on what they can do to start I mean, we had a lot of great nuggets here, but what takeaway can they have where to really get them to start looking inside and just going, is this where I'm supposed to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say start paying attention to how you feel. It's awareness, right? You need to think about, am I feeling good? Am I feeling crappy? Like, maybe just Google some Abraham Hicks videos and learn more about that, the love, the law of attraction, and the fact that, there is this thing called the law of attraction, and it's based on, are you feeling good? You're going to attract more of the same. Are you feeling crappy? You're going to attract more of the same. I put it really simply. I say, do you want to be a crap magnet or a miracle magnet? You decide. You get to choose, right? So I want people to have awareness that they have a choice, that based on their feelings, they're either going to attract good things if they're feeling good, or they're going to attract crappy things if they're feeling bad.
Right.
That's it. Bam. Right. Great. Mic drop.
Great. Boom. Love it. So how can people find out? So, and then I would like to, so how can they find out about this big global movement that you're going to be doing here this month?
Awesome. Well, I would recommend, if you want to go to Facebook, Elvira V. Hopper coaching page. If they can like my page, I will have information on how they get to basically be a part of that if they want to find out more about it. I'm going to be giving away a freebie really soon, some really great content on how to keep your power. I'm going to be launching that. So if they just like the coaching page, then they can be kept up to date. They can choose to be part of my website, Inboxpirations, where they can sign up for my, everybody has a newsletter. Mine's a weekly message that Spirit gives me on a Thursday night, and then I put out on a Friday, and it's just I call it Inboxpiration. It's inspiration in your inbox. So they can sign up for that just by going to elvirahopper.com. But the thing that I really want to share right now is, if there's any woman that's watching this that knows that this is the work she's supposed to do and just wants to get started on that journey, we have an amazing retreat to Tuscany coming up this October 14th to the 22nd. And it's called Unveiling the Masterpiece of You. And I am so excited. My amazing colleague, partner, amazing friend, soul sister, Teresa Chan, and I are putting this together. And it's so beautiful because It's women at the beginning of their journey and some that are further ahead, but they're going to come together in this beautiful container where they are safe, seen, celebrated, and supported, and they take their life to the next level. You know, they know that there's more, and they're going to figure out what it is on this beautiful retreat. That's what I love about retreats. You get away from your own life and you get to recreate yourself. So if anybody resonates with that, check it out. It's bulivetrue.com, and it's going to be amazing.
Put the links in the bottom.
Yeah. We'll put the link downstairs. Yeah. But anyway, that's what I, follow my coaching page. You can sign up for my inboxpirations and check out the retreat. Those are the 3 top things. But I'll put it all on my coaching page so that nobody has to memorize that.
Cool. No, and if anybody's got any questions or comments or anything about this interview, if you could come back and check and see what everybody said. Appreciate your feedback. Would love to have you back on. This was an incredible conversation. Yes, this was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your passion.
This is the best interview I've ever had. I've had some great interviews, and I knew this would be the best one, Jeff, because of you. Because of you, brother. Thank you.
No, it was good. It was good. So everybody join me next Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I have another hypnotist that's going to be coming on, and I am super excited to share with you. She's got a really cool technique that she takes people through. I'm actually going to be doing it this week, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and highly encourage you to be here next week because it's all about the programming, my friends. It's all about the unconscious programming. So you get that unconscious programming cleaned up, you get to life, your vibration rises, you get to live the life that you dreamed of living, and that's what this is all about. It's about conversations igniting new possibilities. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. Again, Elvira, thank you so much for being here. It was a great, great conversation. Everybody, take care, be blessed, and we will see you next Monday. Have a great night.
Hi, guys.